there, pot pickers. It's time again for another Scouse on the Scot. So I'll hand you over to my big mate because he's got a lot to talk about with this gentleman today. So over to you, Ian. Introduce
Well,
the show.
firstly, maybe let's talk about like one thing before we start, which is Merry Christmas, everyone. Obviously, this will be our Christmas show. I hope you're having a really good time, not eating too much, drinking too much, playing guitar, playing music, shredding out everywhere. This week, we have a very special guest. I had the privilege of meeting this guy when he was out on tour with Adamant, one of my personal up and coming bands, like first band I ever followed, like stalked, listened to, played vinyl for relentless amounts of time. He's also the guitarist for Gay Bikers on Acid. She Made Me Do It. His personal band, Scant Regard. He's jammed with legends like Celine Dion, Tom Jones. Let me introduce you to Will Crewdson. Jesus Christ, man, Crewdson. I'm in awe, man. Like, you know what I mean? Thank you very much for meeting us after the Adamant gig. I really appreciate that. How the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, no, I like to do the old meet and greet after the show, even though it's not my show, It's
Uh,
like it's nice to sort of meet the audience, especially when the audience has been really good, like your one was. So
Oh,
yeah, but I'm fine. Yeah, no, I've just come off the tour about a week ago, and yeah, it just feels really good. Normally you get a bit of, you kind of get the post-tour blues, but I haven't had that at all for some reason. So maybe I'm about to crash over Christmas. Who knows? But
Like
well, maybe
like
I'll have a
most of
blue
us.
Christmas. Yeah,
Most
yeah,
of us
yeah.
are like that, or we get, or the worse still, we get off work at Christmas, and then in my case, I usually feel ill. I usually take it. I'm
Yeah,
usually
well,
okay while I'm working, and the minute I stop working, I get sick. So I'm hoping it
that's the
doesn't
thing.
happen
Yeah.
this time. So yeah,
No.
just when Ian's talking there about being into Adamant, well, Ian's a bit younger than me, but just a quick story. So I really loved Adamant when they first came out. You know, with Ant music and Dog Eat Dog. That was my kind of era, and I used to sing with a band at the time. And I decided I'd get my hair done like Adam, you know, the time with the ribbons and all that. So I went in hairdressers, 7.5 hours a Saturday to get it done. Only for
Wow.
everybody that when I went out that night and played with the band, nobody recognised who I was supposed to look like.
Oh,
Cost me a fortune. So that was my story with Adamant.
well, as long as you were happy with it, that's the main thing.
so I've got to start off with obviously you started off young playing classical guitar, and then everything changed. Like, you know what I mean? You got into, how can you put it? Electric dances, more so. Like, there's loads going on. Like, there's so much. Like, how did you start playing guitar? Where did it all start? Like, because obviously playing classical is a challenge straight from the off. So why did you pick classical when you were starting to learn?
Well, I mean, I was already having piano lessons. That was my parents kind of encouraged me, shall we say, to have piano lessons when I was about 7. And then by the time I was 9, I don't even know whose idea it was. It might have been their idea again. They thought, oh, maybe he should learn the guitar. So I think I was more interested in playing the guitar, even though it was classical at the time. So yeah, just went on like that. And I think it was just basically because the teachers I had were more connected with the classical world. I could have. There was actually a point where my dad owned a gallery actually in Hampton Hill, southwest London, and I think Dave Gilmore used to come in, and at one point he was going to give me lessons.
Oh God.
So it was either going to be him or this professor from the Royal Academy of Music. So for some reason, I don't know whether it was my dad's choosing or whether Dave Gilmore wasn't available, or for some probably he wasn't available, because he's probably quite a busy guy. We went with the classical professor, so it could have turned out very differently, I guess.
Wow,
Uh,
that would have
yeah,
changed your complete sound altogether, I
yeah,
imagine, yeah. So
definitely, yeah, yeah. So but yeah, so I just carried on having lessons. I did, and I was doing all the grades. I went up to grade 8. I went to the Royal Academy of Music because my teacher, he was a professor there as well. So I went there sort of as a junior, just did Saturdays while I was still at school. But then as soon as I got out of school, all I wanted to do was join a band really, because that's all I'd been into. And I kind of in the back of my head, I just thought, well, this is all very well, but it's not what I'm into. And I saw even then, I think I saw it as a good basis to to go into other genres or styles of playing, which I
Now,
did. So yeah.
I've got to ask, what is the record that made you go down the route that you did do then? Because obviously changing from classical, learning all the finger styles, different
Yeah.
techniques and stuff like that. What was that one record where you went, I want to do that?
I think there was actually a Jimi Hendrix live album, and I heard a track of that on the radio, and that blew my mind. And it wasn't like one of his kind of crazy, noisy tracks. It was actually like a really slow blues called Bleeding Heart. And for one thing, I'd never heard a song that long. It just went on and on. But he just managed to keep it all together with his playing. And so yeah, it was kind of like when I heard that kind of raw blues played by that kind of virtuoso type player, that I think that yeah, that really stood out to me as being a pivotal moment. Yeah, I think.
Who were the first bands that kind of you became a fan of, and like made you think, like, so you got Jimi Hendrix, but I'm guessing you didn't go straight into playing Jimi Hendrix style blues. Was there any other bands
Uh,
that once you discovered them, once when Jimi Hendrix opened your eyes and you started looking, who were the bands that you that really piqued your interest?
Um, well, I mean, in actual fact, the first band I ever saw was Adam and the Ants when I was really young. So that
Wow.
was on the Prince Charming review, like 1981. So that was a major. I mean, obviously, the first time you see any band live is going to kind of blow your mind, but that blew my mind, a thousandfold because it was just such an amazing production, with the scenery and the costumes um, and I was really into Adam and the Ants. That was so that yeah, I think that was one of my first obsessions really was Adam and the Ants. Then it kind of moved on to a bit more, maybe more experimental stuff towards the mid 80s, But yeah, that I would have to say them, even if I wasn't involved with him at all. Yeah, that's a major influence.
Just want to say one thing before we carry on, because obviously when we first met,
Yeah.
um, I had my little nephew there. That was his very first gig, which is
Oh yeah, yeah.
in your footsteps. He was absolutely smitten. He was blown away.
Mm.
He's a massive Adamant fan himself, and
Oh,
he was just in awe. And the actual fact, as I say, when you came out after the show, you just made the night complete for him.
oh,
Absolutely. And I just wanted to ask this. Obviously, we talked previously about like coming out meeting the fans and stuff like that. How important is that as an interaction for up and coming bands to actually go and meet people who've visited, like come to see you?
I think it's really important. I mean, obviously, you want to kind of keep some kind of mystique, but the mystique has kind of gone out the window anyway, hasn't it, with
Yeah.
the internet and social media. So I think it's really important, and I think if anything, because social media is so important, people just see you there, and that's not doesn't always give like the best impression, or you might not get the right impression of a person until you actually meet them face to face, and then you realize they're an okay person or they're a jerk or whatever, But I think it's really important, yeah. And obviously, there's a few sort of mercenary type reasons where a band will go out and stand next to the merch stand, come on, give us your money, and that works as well, obviously. And I'm as bad as anyone else at that. But obviously, with the Adamant stuff, I don't have any vested interest in that, so I just like to come out and say hello because it's cool. And I'm so used to being in London as well. It's just nice to get out of London and meet people from all over.
I think it's quite interesting juxtaposition that basically, if you think about it, your first gig was seeing Adamant, and there'd be people in that audience that were just young, like Ian's nephew, blown away by it, blew your mind, and here you are now doing the same to him. How many years later? 40 years later?
How many? Yeah,
Yeah, but if you think,
yeah,
35, 40 years later. But the thing with it is
yeah,
that it's always been important. And when we talk to everybody that we talk to, And there's always a similar story. There's always a song that piques somebody's interest that makes them think, "Holy shit, what is that?" There's always the first person they meet that's in that is in a band that they think's wonderful. And there's everybody that, like yourself, that honestly knows that that's the important thing is to make yourself available to the fans because
Mm.
that's what makes their day. And even if there is a mercenary element to it, especially grassroots when it's the only way you can make money is by selling merch because you can't make it any other
Yeah.
way. So even if it is apparently a bit mercenary, I just think it's cool that we all agree, everybody that knows what they're doing agrees this. So if you're a young band out there, don't turn up, play on stage and think you're the bee's knees and that's the end of it. Talk to the people that's going to come back and going to bring their friends with you. So if Will can do it, you lot can do it.
Yeah. If yeah. I guess so. It's like, I mean, the thing about me is like I I kind of come out of my shell when I'm on stage anyway. So I kind of it just becomes a natural thing to be sociable after the gig, really, you know. So I kind of act on that as well, I think.
So obviously, like you know, what I mean, we met up at the Adamant gig. You've supported, well, you've played guitar for Tom Jones, Celine Dion, and stuff like that. So, got to ask this: how did you get into the like, you know, is it wrong to call it a session player, or
No, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that was kind of phase I went through, really. It wasn't, you know, I think that was a particular time in my life where I just left a band called Rachel Stamp that I'd been in for 10 years. And I was just looking for different stuff to do, really. And it just so happened that a friend of mine had a session agency and got me the Tom Jones gig. And then that led to a couple of other things as well, including Celine Dion. And yeah, I suppose at that point I would be classed as a session
yeah?
guy. Whereas now I'm kind of because I'm a member of a few different bands as well as doing. I guess you could call the Adamant thing a session, but it's kind of I've been doing it for 15 years pretty much, so it's feels a bit more than that to me. But and obviously I'm so close to the material and I've known the guys since 95 or something, so um yeah, uh, but yeah, no, it's definitely an element to what I do.
Would
Is
you
yeah,
would you say it's I would imagine it's a different challenge being a guitarist, being a session player. Like, what do you think it takes to become a session player? What have you got to learn to get to that sort of level? Because you've got to be able to pick up a song quite quickly, group of songs quite quickly, and sometimes it mightn't be the stuff that you enjoy playing as well.
yeah. It's weird though because it's like sometimes I mean I've done stuff in the past where I haven't been 100% into the particular song I'm learning, but as soon as I start playing, I can always I don't know if it's just me, but I can find an enjoyment in it just from putting myself into it, if you see what I mean. So
Yeah.
I think that's how I deal with that. Luckily, most of the stuff I've done, it's been stuff I've been into, and like some of my favorite bands, I've played their guitar parts and I've been, more than happy to do it. So, but yeah, no, that has happened, and I think yeah, it surprised me at the time how much into it I could get. I think and how as long as you got that mentality that you're putting yourself into it in your own style, I think
What
that's
was
what
it? What
matters.
was it? What was it like? Stood on the stage with Sir Tom in front of you and that voice foghorning out we used to do. That must have been mind blowing, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing about Tom Jones is he talking about loving what you're doing. He just, he lives for singing, and that was just so apparent. He'd just walk into the rehearsal and just go straight to the mic and be like, "Come on, let's do this," Um, and that just obviously affects the whole band when the front person has got that kind of mentality.
So obviously, you said you was playing for Adam for 15 years now.
Yeah, pretty much. I started in 2010 and I had a couple of years off. And then, but yeah, over the last 10, 11 years, I've been doing it non-stop. Yeah.
I've got two questions off the back of this. One's quite a funny one, like so. Apologies. So obviously, you doing the session work, starting off with the session, how did you find playing Marco's parts? Were you able to put your own little stint on it, put your own little twist on it? And then obviously over the years, you've been able to incorporate more.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing about the Adam and the Ant stuff and the Adam Ant solo stuff is I kind of knew all the songs already from back then. I won't say I've been listening to them solidly since the 80s or the 90s, but so that it was all in my head already, which kind of made it easier to put my own stamp on it, I think, because I kind of just did it how I remembered it. And then sometimes I go back to the records and think, oh, actually, Marco was doing it slightly different. But I think I've got away with doing it my way so far. No one's kind of criticized me
Until
too
now,
much
now
for
they'll be
that. So yeah,
they'll be
so,
checking you out now.
yeah, they
Well,
will. Yeah.
Know that. The second part, I've got to ask this because I was doing my own work on yourself, so apologies, like you know what I mean. But is it true that Adamant, obviously, when you reached out to him about playing, he brought some stuff to sign for what you got for for
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was that was when I was doing Rachel Stamp in probably about 97 or something. He came to see us play and he really got into the band and he even came up and guested with us at a live show. And he wanted to do a video for us. So we met up with him in Bar Italia, which was his idea, which I thought was amazing because that's the Viva La Rock
Yeah.
photo shoot was all shot in there. You know, I'm like, wow, I'm going to meet Adam Ant in the Viva La Rock cafe. So yeah, we had this meeting with him. He had all these ideas for a video. Before I went though, I looked at my 7 inches and I looked at Amp Music, I looked at Kings of Warfare. I thought I'd love to get those signed, you know. But then I thought, but no, this is a business meeting, you know. You've got to be cool, you know. So I just thought, no, I just left them. So went in. He turns up and he had all our vinyl, like all our Rachel Stamp vinyl. He's like, can you sign this? I'm like, yeah, okay. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was the tables were turned in a weird way that day. Yeah.
Have you got your vinyl signed by him now?
Sorry?
Have you got your vinyl signed by him?
No, I still haven't.
You
No, I've got
haven't, no way.
various other things, and various kind of souvenirs from over the years that Adam's been involved with. But no, I still haven't got my vinyl signed.
You
One
need to
day.
do it. You need to do it. You need to
Yeah,
do
I
it.
should do really, yeah. I
So,
doubt if he's still got his Rachel Stamp vinyl either, but you know.
so tell us about your current band then, Scant Regard.
Oh, Scant Regard is my solo thing that I've been doing for about 12 years now. And that was at a point that, as I mentioned, there was a point where I wasn't doing Adam stuff. And for years, I wanted to do something on my own. I really liked the idea of just doing a gig, you know, not thinking about anyone. And I've always loved electronic music as well. So I wanted to kind of mix my guitar playing with electronic beats and synths and stuff. And I started doing albums under that name and playing under that name. And I've been doing that ever since. Yeah. And at the moment, I'm recording the 9th album, which will be out early next year, early 26. So
And
yeah.
a tour's following.
Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, I've been doing quite a lot of touring this year with that, but next year I've got a few dates with EMF. I've got some dates with Dave Formula, who's the keyboard player in Magazine. He's got a new band playing Magazine stuff with the guitarist Knockout. That's in May, and yeah, a few sort of gigs that I do quite regularly as well. I always play this place called the Rock and Roll Cabaret in Soho, London, and that's always cool. Yeah, just trying to get as many gigs as possible because it's so easy to do. I just turn up and don't even use an amp, you know, I just plug in and do it.
So do you want to just give us a quick overview of your rig? Because if you just plug and play, and what are
Oh,
you actually plugging into?
well, when I do that, I mean, because as I said, is that there's a lot of electronic
Yeah.
stuff going on. I kind of like it all to be mixed in the PA rather than have an amp in the middle of the stage and like everything else on either side. I kind of like it all mixed. So what I do is I use a Universal Audio, what's it called? It's called Dream 65. It's kind of like a Fender amp in a box, basically, and you can just DI that, and I can use that with all the pedals I use with my amp, you know. Yeah.
So what
So
kind of guitars what guitars do you use? Well, like what's your favorite guitars?
For the scant regard stuff, because it's a lot of it is quite sort of twangy surf guitar inspired stuff, Ennio Morricone. So I like to use my Scos I use, which are Japanese guitars, which have a nice Bigsby type thing on it. I've got this yeah, where is it? I've got this Dipinto here, which is also great for that sound.
nice.
Uh, it's made me disappear. Anyway, it's there. Yeah, so yeah, for Scant regard, I use that kind of guitar, along the lines of I guess a Fender Jaguar type sound.
Yeah.
Um, but for other stuff, I use more kind of meaty guitars. I use Reverend guitars a lot for everything I do because they're really versatile. Uh,
Is that what you
and
use for the Ant Tour as well? Like, and
yeah, I used one Reverend, the double agent, which is great, which has got a P90 on it, and
yeah.
it's really versatile. Along with my really old Rickenbacker, which is like a Rickenbacker El Dorado, not sort of normal Rickenbacker at all, more like a kind of chunky sounding, almost like Gibson sounding guitar. But it's yeah, I use that for a lot of the Adamant tour as well, which I've used that for years. I use that with Rachel Stamp as well.
So that one's your your baby, you go to. Is it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of falling to bits, but aren't we all?
True story.
So obviously, like you know what I mean. You am I right saying that you've just played the Corporation as well with is it Gay Bikers on Acid, or
Gay Bikers on Acid, yeah.
was that coming up? I
That's
think
actually coming up this Friday, but by the time this goes out, I
it
probably will
goes
have
out.
done.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, that's the first. We got 3 gigs this weekend, and that's the first one. Yeah.
Oh well, we both Ian and I know the corporation really well.
Oh, okay.
I used to do put on quite a lot of gigs there and sort of like all day festivals and things like that. So we know it well. That's why
Oh, cool.
I spotted it in your social media today, and I said to Ian, he's got to be playing the corporation.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Well, come down if you're around.
are you? We'll have to check it out because obviously what we'll do is we'll post all the links and we'll gladly come down. We'll sort something out. I'm interested in coming down and seeing in scant regards, to be honest, as well. Like so, we'll
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely sort that out. Um,
Cool.
obviously we're talking about like you're in multiple bands at the moment. Like we said at the start, Gay Bikers on Acid, which is an '80s band, which has been going for years. It's like, you seem to be working, working, working. How do you find time, Will, to actually organize like, multiple dates, gigs and festival, like, events with multiple bands?
Well, it seems like I'm on the go all the time, but there's a lot of time in between the gigs to kind of organize that, and obviously you have to sort of prioritize things as well. It's not necessarily the first thing that comes in you have to take. If there's a chance that someone else is going to be doing something in that period, then I can't really book it. So yeah, it's a bit of juggling going on, but it was a lot worse when because I played with the Selector for about 5 years,
Oh yeah, I saw
and
that.
that was like a major touring thing, and I was doing that at the same time as Adam, which was also obviously a major touring thing. Both bands were touring all over the world, so that was pretty hectic, for a few years. And but these days, because all my other stuff is kind of less touring and more kind of like in little bits, little batches, like the Gay Bikers, we just go out normally over a weekend. It's kind of easier to organize everything around it. Yeah. Because also with that band, Mary, the singer, he sings with Pot Will Eat Itself, so
Oh yeah, I used to
he
like
does a
them.
lot of touring with them. So that's another good thing about it. We both, it's not like one of us feels bad that we can't book something, because we're both kind of in the same boat pretty much. Um, yeah, so that's good.
So when you're planning ahead, obviously, how so if you were like having to choose from the things that you do, how do you prioritize or what do you prioritize first? and foremost?
Um, well, I mean, the sort of major thing that I do is Adamant's
Yeah.
stuff, because that ends up being a big chunk of touring, like the American tour we did last year was about 2 months, so I kind of have to prioritize that because that's such a big load of work. And also I love doing it as well. I don't mind prioritizing something if I love doing it.
Mm.
So things kind of have to fit around that a bit. But everything else is a bit interchangeable. I've got something else that I might be doing next year, and I'm really not sure where to put that in the order of importance because it's something that's going to be a lot of fun to do. Another band kind of that I really love and well loved and love. So yeah, I can't go into it yet though because nothing's set in stone. But so yeah, it could get a bit dodgy next year with prioritizations.
Well, I hope that comes off because that sounds like pretty amazing. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Especially if Adam's out as well, you sound like you're going to be busy next year, especially with
yeah.
Scouser and stuff. I've got another question to ask you about Adamant, and apologies. I'm a bit of a fan, like, so when did you learn how to play drums as well? Because you have to learn to play drums because it's very drum orientated, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, we do little bits. We have a tom on each side of the stage
yeah.
that we join in with the two drummers at various parts of the set. But yeah, I actually took percussion lessons, and I used to have a drum kit when I was growing up. When I was at school, I had a drum kit in my bedroom. So that was another phase I went through. So I think that's helped with it. But it's kind of it's very minimal the amount of drumming we do. It's more like extra percussion than drumming itself.
Because you have
But yeah,
two amazing.
Do you know what I'm actually thinking? Well, you've either lived three lives or you're a vampire and you're like 300 years old because I don't know how you've managed to fit in all these things, mate. Yeah, I had a drum kit. Yeah, I played a classical. Yeah, that's cool. That's really
yeah.
cool, mate.
So obviously, like, you know what I mean, we normally ask a few random questions. What is the
Mhm.
strangest thing you've seen while being on tour?
Strangest thing I've seen.
Or
And you don't have
funniest.
to, or the funniest thing,
Oh,
and you don't have to name anything, or if it puts anyone out, you can just describe it. We've had some proper amazing stories where we've,
well, I had a very strange feeling on that last tour because I was asleep. We were driving overnight on the tour bus, and I kind of half woke up because I heard the kind of scraping down the side of the bunk. This isn't a funny story at all. It's actually quite horrific. But yeah, but for me it was horrific. Maybe for someone else it'd be hilarious. But and I kind of half woke up and I just thought that's kind of weird. I thought because I was half asleep, I just thought we're just going through a car wash or something. So I went back to sleep. Woke up in the morning. The driver was outside, kind of like really kind of nervous, and like go, oh my God, yeah, check the side of the bus, and like all the windows were broken right next to where my bunk was, and also Duncan the tech was underneath me. Duncan the tech had fully woken up and actually saw his bunk caving in because basically he'd taken a corner and there was a tree that just scraped right into the bus. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't really aware of what was going on, but yeah, that was a very strange tour experience.
what
Um, that
what
happened a few weeks
what
ago.
actually happened after that? Because did you actually just drive to the next venue, got another tour bus,
Yeah,
or
we had to get another tour bus that night. Yeah, we just moved everything onto another tour bus and carried on with the tour with a different driver. I felt bad for the driver really, but
that's
yeah,
scary times? Like, have you got
yeah, that's pretty.
any funny tours?
Anything funny
Yeah,
to balance it out?
yeah.
That
Have you had
I
usually
did.
that usually be
strange requests from fans besides me coming up going, can you have an interview?
I used to have with Rachel Stamp, my old band. There used to be like an actual fanzine about my feet, and it was called Will's Feet Worship or something like that. I mean, so that was pretty strange. And also that same person, I once did a high kick on stage, and I knocked her. I think it was a finger or a thumb, and she lost her thumbnail. because it went black and fell off. And she showed me, she was really proud of it. So this is the same person that had the feet. Actually, no, it's a website. It was actually in the days of the internet. It wasn't a fanzine. It was a website about my feet. I wonder if it's still around. I haven't actually thought about that for a while. I'll check it out.
We may have to Google it and put a link in below.
Will's
Yeah.
feet. I'll tell you what.
So yeah.
We interviewed a chap a couple of years ago, and he told us that he had this fan from Germany, and she was there's nothing wrong, she's just a bit strange, and basically she found she arranged to meet him somewhere, and they went, it was someone who was gigging, so he met up with her. She just come up, went hello, and then turned around and walked away, and that was her. She
Oh,
travelled something like 2,000 miles to just go hello
Yeah.
and then turn around and walk away. I'm like, it's nothing fucking stranger than people.
Well, maybe she was just uber respectful, maybe she just wanted to say I've met the person
I
and that's it,
She was German, so there's a possibility that, or Austrian, there was a possibility that was politeness, to be
I,
fair. Yeah, so, but it was,
yeah.
yeah, we've had some corkerous stories, haven't we?
yeah, we've had stories about festivals. Don't stand by the fences in the backstage of festivals, especially the wet grass, because people
Oh, yeah,
water
that
the
was Brian
plants
Slagle, wasn't
and
it?
stuff
That was
like
Brian
that.
Slagle's.
Yeah, Brian Slagle, like so. We've honestly we've had some absolute whoppers of stories, like so. It is fun, like. I do normally do a section called "Win or Stay On," so it's normally between you picking. I'll give you two bands. You'll
Hmm.
pick one, and the winner stays on to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So this normally upsets quite a lot of people, or I get called on multiple things because the choices
Usually
are,
motherfucker, to be fair.
yeah, the choices are a bit random. So apologies in advance, Will,
Hmm.
but I've got to throw these out there and see what you think. So the first one, Gary Newman versus Selector.
I've got to pick the best one.
Yeah,
What?
The
you've
one
got to
that, the
pick
one that
the
you
one.
would keep on.
I'd say Selector because I was in the Selector. I've
Selector.
never been in Gary Newman and
I
it was
know, I
great.
know, I know,
And
but
so I'm more au fait with their music than Gary Newman's music.
Selector and Kraftwerk.
I mean, I love Kraftwerk. Yeah, Kraftwerk.
Okay,
Sorry,
that was
Pauline.
pretty
Sorry,
straightforward.
Pauline. I think Pauline would understand.
Kraftwerk and Sponge.
Are you talking sponge with a U or sponge with an O?
Oh, I
The one
think
you
it's the
obviously like.
the one with the O. I think it is.
I mean, that's incomparable, isn't it? Those two bands. But
Not an
I
Ian,
love
not an
both
Ian
those
says.
bands.
Not an Ian
Yeah,
says
you
it
have to
isn't.
pick one. Well, that's the problem, Will.
I've got to pick one. Well, I've already picked Kraftwerk, so I'll pick Sponge now.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
not gonna like the next few, I don't think. Sponge and T-Rex.
I'd rather watch Sponge because apparently my brother saw T-Rex and he couldn't even hear them because of the screaming. So
Oh, that's a
yeah,
shame, that one. Sponge and Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode all day, every day. Best band ever.
They are
The last
amazing.
one, the last one, I apologize in advance. Sponge and Adamant.
No, no, Depeche Mode are
Oh,
adamant.
Sorry, Depeche Mode and Adamant.
oh, brother.
Oh, that's the
Save the
politest.
best for last,
Well,
mate.
that's the politest anybody's ever been when it comes to the final one. Normally, it gets called all the motherfuckers under the sun, but you're oh brother, that's cool.
I do love the politeness from you, like, to be perfect.
Um, I've got to say, I've probably been listening to Depeche Mode for more hours in my life than I have Adamant. But that's not to say, I don't love them both, obviously, in different ways. But so I'll have to say Depeche. Sorry,
Fair
ads.
play.
So
But
who's
it's only because I can't play guitar with them, because they've got Martin Gore and he does the job. And
It- it-
yeah,
it's fine. Listen, I've had some rather choice words said to me about my winner stays on, like, you know what I mean? So, to be
Hmm.
honest, you were the politest person I've had, so I'll take that every day of the week.
In fact,
Okay.
it usually gets worse. Well, when it's if we start talking, so like in your case as a guitarist, it's usually worse if we just start and it's two members of a band and you start comparing guitarists, or if they're drummers,
Uh,
they get really upset when you with some of your choices
yeah.
there. So if we'd done that with you rather than bands, and we'd done guitarists with you, we might have
Yeah.
got a motherfucker out on the end, Ian.
Yeah,
Maybe.
That's a bit
maybe.
personal, isn't it?
Who is your, like, you know what I mean? Who are your top five guitarists of all time? Who would
Top
you pick?
five guitarists. I love Matthew Ashman, who was on all the early Ant stuff. I love Joe Perry. Who
Johnny.
else? Brian Setzer.
Shit, class.
Um, these are the ones that are just coming springing to mind. You know, it might be different another day. Who else do I love? Bill Spooner from the Tubes, I love because he's an amazing songwriter as well. And I love Snakefinger because he's just the most avant-garde, or he was the most avant-garde guitarist I've ever heard in an amazing way. So yeah, that's what I'll say today.
I
Well,
tell you what,
pretty cool, man.
you've picked some unusual ones there, ones that we never normally hear, which I think is cool because we you tend to find that they always pick the same ones, you know. So there's quite a few that I never expected the guy out the Tubes. I used to like the Tubes. That was a band that was Fee Waybill, wasn't it? It
That's
was.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to like them back
But
in the early because I'm old enough to have been around when they first came out,
yeah,
they were brilliant. They were amazing. They were really something like different. The
mm,
Tubes, they were brilliant.
absolutely. Yeah, really. I hate to use the word, but underrated is is them, I think.
Yeah,
Especially,
100%.
yeah. I,
If there was
I
any new guitarist who's starting off, what advice would you give a new guitarist starting?
just don't try and sort of whittle, basically. Try and I think the phrase is to serve the song, isn't it? Try and think about the song rather than showing off your chops, I think because the more you play anyway, your chops are gonna get better and it's just all gonna slot into place. So I think that's the mentality to have is just think about the people around you, the other players and the song. And I think your talent will shine through anyway, if you got it.
No, it's true.
I think that's spot on because I think it's one of the things that it's one of the things I hate now about a lot of singers, especially in certain genres, where to me
Mm,
they've always gone jazz. They're always gone like they can't wait to do all the runs and the trills and all that. Instead of I've got to sing the
yeah,
fucking melody. You can always show us that
yeah,
bit, in bits, but they don't. They want to. They just and if you watch like these talent programs with singers, everybody's just sitting there politely sitting, and then until they go really high and then it's like and it's like is that all you're waiting for? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
one of the best advice ever I heard given to a guitarist was if you're doing this was in rock, so if you're doing a lead solo, you should be able to whistle it. You know, you should be able to whistle that
absolutely.
lead
Yeah,
solo.
yeah, yeah. I think that's important. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
So, Will, last question from yourself, and I really appreciate the time that you got. It's like, is there anything you would like to plug? So, you've got a number of gigs coming up. We would love to plug you, get some new fans out there as well to come and see you, and hopefully meet you at the end of the show. So, is there
Mm.
anyone you'd like to, any shows that are up and coming that you'd like to shout out about?
Well, I've got on the 9th of January, I'm playing in Chelmsford, a place called Hot Vox, and I'm doing a double thing there. I'm playing my solo Scant Regard set and She Made Me Do It, which is my band, three-piece band that I have as well. So we're playing there on the 9th of January. We're also playing in Brighton with She Made Me Do It on the 29th. Oh, no, sorry, the 30th. 29th, I'm doing an acoustic show with David from Rachel Stamp, my band, our band. We're doing an acoustic show at Aces and Eights in Tufnell Park, London. And I've got more bikers gigs. Best to check gaybikersonacid.co.uk. All the gay biker stuff's there. We're playing the Shine Festival in March as well. I'm looking forward to that. That's a big sort of indie festival thing. Uh, and like I said, I'm doing the magazine support thing with my solo thing in May. I think we're going all over going to Scotland, probably going to Sheffield as well with that. Yeah, I think that's about it off the top of my head.
Well, what I'll do is like I say, I'll put all the links down below. I'll put all the ads on all the bits and pieces. So guys, check out Will. He's going to be everywhere. He's an amazing guitarist. He's an amazing person, and I can't thank him enough for coming on tonight. So, Will, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks,
Oh,
guys. Yeah, it's been really cool.
thank you very much, John. Over to you, bud.
Okay, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm sure you would. It's. I would say that we've had some stuff out of Will that we haven't had from others, which is cool. And that's what it's all about. We don't want to keep regurgitating the same stuff for the same different people saying the same stuff. So Will's come up with a lot of really cool stuff there. So make sure you follow him on social media, check his bands out and everything else. And all that's left to say is make sure you subscribe. But most of all, make sure you have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Scouser and the Scot, over and out.